friends, we are back for another session of the one and only Ivan. I am so happy if you did choose to come back after our reading yesterday. It was a bit sad as we did lose one of our friends from the Big Top Mall, Stella. She did go to heaven, she did pass away, and that's something that happens throughout life. We love people, we lose people, and it doesn't make it any easier. She left behind Ruby, Bob, and Ivan, and us with broken hearts, but more importantly, she did leave Ivan behind with a promise to her that he would protect Ruby and find her a better living situation. Now, we don't know if that living situation means in the wild or in a humane zoo, which we talked about previous sessions, but she did hope that he could take care of her and protect her from the evils of the Big Top Mall and the evils from other really bad humans. Now, if you're back and you're listening, thank you so much. It was sad and it was hard. And it's always sad to lose someone that you love, but that's something that Catherine Applegate, the author, does really well in this book. Sometimes she brings us down and sometimes she brings us up. And I'm hoping that the next session, the one we're on today, is a little bit more uplifting. But I do think that we're going to have to navigate through the trials and tribulations and the emotions of our characters as they mourn the loss of Stella, as we mourn the loss of Stella. But I think we're going to see symbols of Stella throughout the rest of the book. And I think that Ivan, I hope, is able to keep his promise. So let's see. We are on page 121. We're almost halfway done. Look at that. And it's called Once Upon a Time. All night, Ruby moans and sniffles. I pace my domain. I don't want to fall asleep in case you need something. Ivan, Bob says gently, get some sleep, please, for your sake and for mine. Bob can't sleep unless he's on my stomach. I hear a stirring. Ivan, Ruby calls. I rush to my window. Ruby, are you all right? I miss Aunt Stella, Ruby sobs, and I miss my mom and my sisters and my aunts and my cousins too. I know, I say, because it's all I can think of. Ruby sniffles. I can't sleep. Do you know any stories? The way Aunt Stella knows? Not really, I admit. Some stories were Stella's specialty. Tell me a story about when you were little, Ruby, please. She puts her trunk between the bars. Please, Ivan. I scratch the back of my head. I don't remember things, Ruby, I admit. It's true, Bob says, trying to be helpful. Ivan has a terrible memory. He's the opposite of an elephant. Ruby lets out a long, shivery breath. Oh, well, that's okay. Night, Ivan and Bob. I listen to Ruby's soft sobs for long, horrible minutes. Then I hear myself saying, once upon a time, there was a gorilla named Ivan. And slowly and deliberately, I try to remember. The grunt. I was born in a place humans called Central Africa. So now we're going to hear a little bit about Ivan's childhood, hopefully if he can remember it, so I'm really excited. I was born in a place humans called Central Africa, in a dense rainforest so beautiful no crayons could ever do it justice. Gorillas don't name their newborns right away, the way humans do. We get to know our babies first. We wait to see hints of what might yet be. When they say how much she loved to chase me around the forest, my parents decided on my twin sister's name, Tag. So now we know Ivan had a sister, a twin sister, named Tag. Oh, how I loved to play tag with my sister. She was nimble, but when I got too close, she would leap onto my unsuspecting father. Then I would join her, and we would bounce on the tolerant belly until he gave us the grunt, the whooping pig sound that meant enough. That game never got old, although my father might have disagreed. It didn't take long for my parents to find my name. All day long, every day, I made pictures. I drew on rocks and bark and my poor mother's back. I used the sap from leaves. I used the juice from fruit, but mostly I used mud. And that is why they call me Mud. To a human, I'm stuttering a bunch, I'm so sorry. To a human, mud might not sound like much, but to me, it was everything. So now we learned that Ivan's name at home with his family was actually Mud, not Ivan. My family, which humans call a troop, was just like any other gorilla family. There were 10 of us, my father, the silverback, my mother, and 3 other adult females. A juvenile male called a blackback, and 2 other young gorillas. Tag and I were the babies of the group. We squabbled now and then, as families will, which means they fight. But my father knew how to keep us in line with a simple scowl. And for the most part, we were happy to do what we were meant to do, to feed and forage and nap and play. My father was a master at leading us to the ripest fruit for our morning feast and the finest branches for our night nests. He was everything a silverback was meant to be, a guide, a teacher, a protector, and nobody could chest beat like my father. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different. My diva son just causing a stir. I'm so sorry. Gorilla babies and elephant babies and human babies are not so different, except that a gorilla gets to spend the day riding on his mother's back, like a cowboy on a horse. It's a pretty great system for the baby's point of view. Slowly, carefully, a young gorilla begins to venture farther and farther from the safety of his mother's arms. He learns the skill he will need as an adult. How to make a nest of branches, weave them tightly, or they will fall apart in the middle of the night. How to beat your chest, cup your palms to amplify the sound. How to go vining from tree to tree, don't let go. How to be kind, be strong, be loyal. Growing up gorilla is just like any other kind of growing up. You make mistakes, you play, you learn, you do it all over again. It was, for a while, a perfect life. Sad. Page 128, the end. One day, a still day, when the hot air hummed, the humans came. After they captured my sister and me, they put us in a cramped, dark crate that smelled of urine and fear. Somehow, I knew that in order to live, I had to let my old life die. But my sister could not let go of our home. It held her like a vine, stretching across the miles, comforting, strangling. We were still in our crate when she looked at me, without seeing, and I knew that the vine had finally snapped. It was Mac who pried open the crate, Mac who bought me, and Mac who raised me like a human baby. I wore diapers. Weird. I drank from a bottle. I slept in human beds, sat in human chairs, listened while human words swarmed around me like angry bees. Mac had a wife back then. Ooh. Helen was quick to laugh, but quick to anger too, especially when I broke something, which was often. Here's what I broke while I lived with Mac and Helen. 1 crib, 46 glasses, 7 lamps, 1 couch, 3 shower curtains, 3 shower curtain rods, 1 blender, 1 TV, 1 radio, 3 toes, which were my own. I broke the blender when I squeezed 3 tubes of toothpaste and a bottle of glue into it. I broke my toes attempting to swing from the lamp fixture on the ceiling. I broke 46 glasses. Well, it turns out there are many ways to break glass. Every weekend, Mac and Helen took me into their convertible to a fast food restaurant where they ordered me French fries and a strawberry shake. Mac loved to see the expression on the cashier's face when he drove up and said, "Can I just have some extra ketchup for my kid?" I went to the baseball game, to the grocery store, to a movie theater, even to the circus. They didn't have a gorilla. I rode a little motorbike and blew out candles on my birthday. My life as a human was a glamorous one, although my parents, traditional sorts, would not have approved. So he's saying his gorilla parents wouldn't approve of his life. So there's Ivan as a baby when he lived with Mac and wasn't in the mall at all or the zoo. So I want to stop and talk about that. It's interesting that Ivan was able to recall some of his childhood in the wild. We learned about his sister. We learned that his sister and him were captured, and she wasn't able to handle the stress of being captured, and we don't really know what ended up happening to her, but we did know that they were separated. And Ivan was more successful at transitioning to this new life because he let go of his old life. And sometimes that's easy for people and sometimes that's hard for people. But it seems like Ivan was able to just say, okay, this is not my life anymore. I have a new life that I have to do and I have to deal with. So we're going to stop there on page 134 today because I want to end on a little bit of a positive note. It seems like before Ivan was in the Big Top Mall Zoo. Oh, look who's back. Benji. Before he was in the Big Top Mall Zoo, he seemed to have a pretty cool life with Mac and his wife Helen. I mean, he got milkshakes, they went to fast food restaurants, he lived in a home, he slept in a human bed, and it didn't seem like he was really there to do any tricks or to make money, but really to just be a pet to these people. And although we know that gorillas deserve to be in the wild, it doesn't seem as bad as where he is now. What do you think? Do you think something happened? Do you think Mac always planned to keep him in the zoo? I guess we'll have to learn that and see what happens. But I'll ask my friends that in my class on my Google form what they think of Mac and what they think his plan was with purchasing Mud or Ivan. And if you're not in our class, feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you know when new videos are posted. You can follow me at Miss Pugz with a Z on Instagram to see what's going on in our classroom, online, and in real life. And I will see you tomorrow for our next session of the one and only Ivan. Benji says bye too.